my fellow Freedom Love Southern thinkers. Thank you for tuning in to LLP Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful Swampy Mango, South Florida. And today's date is Friday, April 2nd, 2021. Hopefully everyone had a good Friday for all the Christian listeners out there and beyond, of course. So it'll be that little weekend of blessing, paying homage, and all that good stuff. So enjoy it while you can, and keep it real. That's the thing, and that's one thing also I always tell everybody. And it's funny because I was reading an article yesterday from the Sun Sentinel pertaining to Nova Southeastern University is going to do vaccinations for everyone, including students, to be in the classrooms and in their facilities. If not, the rest of them won't be vaccinated. Will have to do online. So if you walk into the Nova University, one of those NSU, walk in with your arms crossed, going, "Big brother, please, I'm gonna be doing what I told. I will lick the boots of the Orwellian propaganda machine." Herd conformity 101, right? Absolutely. And I know Delaware is the Senate passed on tougher gun laws, which is invalid under Article 1, Section 20 of their own state constitution. And, of course, the preamble contradicts that as well. And as I noticed that the Declaration of Rights is not that powerful. So I'm about to see if there's anything about invalid contracts or ex post facto laws under the legislation. If that's the case, it's still null and void, okay? So the folks from the first state of the union should address that to them and say, no, we're not going to be told what to do. Okay, so that's how you got to look at these dingleberries. All these prima donnas believe they're smarter than everybody else because they're lawyers and their wrist hurts by pushing too many pens. Well, speaking of prima donnas and so forth, with this whole vaccine passport debacle, all right, it looks like there's some interest. It's like, two elected servants and Civil Rights Institution are defying it. So it's just say no to vaccine passports. So we're going to start off here, and it came from the Epoch Times by Jack Phillips. That's here. Florida governor signs executive order banning vaccine passports. That's what they have to say here. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Friday signed an executive order that bars the usage of CCP, Chinese Communist Party virus vaccine passports, become the first government in the United States to take action against what civil liberties groups say is a potential privacy nightmare. Republican governor order comes after the unconfirmed reports that the Biden administration could be working on implementing a vaccine passport type in the system in the United States. Although White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki later said there is no federal mandate for it, but the administration will provide guidance to private companies regarding similar systems. Hooray! Remember, he's another Bushite, another Zionist bend-over Bob to the New World Order. Joseph, not my president, white privilege 46 Biden. Psaki, she's another fake as well, so another poser. Today, and it says, quote, "Today I issued an executive order prohibiting the so-called COVID-19 vaccine passports." DeSantis wrote in a tweet on Friday, "The legislature is working on making permanent these protections for Floridians, and I look forward to signing them into law soon." DeSantis repeatedly criticized the proposal of vaccine passports. On Monday, the government said he would forbid local governments and businesses in Florida from requiring vaccine passports with documents showing on having been vaccinated for the CCP virus, which causes COVID-19. No COVID-19 vaccine is required by law, the governor's order stated, adding that vaccination records are private health information that shouldn't be shared by a mandate. Passports, he said, would harm individual freedom and harm patient privacy. A requirement to show a passport to take part in everyday life, such as sporting event, going to a restaurant, or going to a movie theater, would create two classes of citizens, DeSantis stated. Airlines and cruise companies appear to especially favor vaccine passports in a bid to entice customers to use their services. New York State, meanwhile, has proposed its own Excelsior Pass, which is like their motto, okay, one of their logos, mottos, that would be used in large-scale events such as Madison Square Garden or sporting events. Israel set up a vaccine passport system in February to grant people access to gyms and hotels, while Iceland now uses a vaccine passport to allow foreign travel. Saudi Arabia has an app-based passport for people who got vaccinated. Wow, very disappointing for these nations. And it's interesting about Israel, the Israeli government. It's like forced vaccinations and all that. Adolf Hitler could be proud. We'll be proud of this, believe it or not. Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini, Mao Tse-tung would be extremely proud. All the nations so far with these passports that are implementing it. And I'll continue on here, but civil liberty groups such as the American Civil Liberties Union have cried foul over such proposals, saying that will place low-income people at a disadvantage, as many do not own smartphones to display an app that would show they are vaccinated. What's more, a centralized passport system could imperil Americans' right of privacy, the group said. There's a difference between a standardized system for presenting proof of vaccination and a digital system for doing so, the group wrote in a statement this week, which I'm going to read that in a little bit. With more and more of our credentials being displayed through apps on our phones, from airline boarding passes to concert tickets to gym membership, it strikes many people as an obvious and overdue step to create a similar digital credential for those occasions where the person has to prove they have been vaccinated. And it does make a lot of sense. The American Civil Liberties Union is spot on there. So it's nice to see people from different political point of views are joining forces, okay? So I always find that very gratifying. And when you, I will leave the executive order page, and you can see it for yourself, what DeSantis did on this order, with called the Prohibiting COVID-19 Vaccine Passport. And he used the order, his power under Article 4, Section 1A of the Florida Constitution and by the Florida Emergency Management Act. So you can look at that also, and you can make your own decisions. I like what it says here on this order. And now, therefore, I, Ron DeSantis, as governor of Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me in Article 4, Section 1A of the Florida Constitution and by the Florida Emergency Management Act, as amended, and all other applicable public following the executive order, Section 1, no Florida government entity or subdivision, agents, or assigned shall be permitted issue a vaccine passport, vaccine pass, or other standardized documentation for purpose of certifying an individual COVID-19 vaccine status to a third party, or otherwise publish or share any individual's COVID-19 vaccination record or similar health information. Section 2, businesses in Florida are prohibited from requiring patrons or customers to provide any documentation certifying COVID-19 vaccination or post-transmission recovery to gain access to entry upon or service from the business. So they can be considered pretty controversial on that. He may be, it was claimed he may be overstepped his boundary. So we'll continue on here. Section 3, all executive agencies under my direction shall work to ensure businesses comply with this order. Any provisions of Florida statutes hereby suspended solely to an extent it restricts a Florida agency requiring compliance with this order as a condition for a license, permit, or other state authorization necessary for conducting business in Florida. So it'll be technically a contractual condition. And of course, 4, all business must comply with this order, be eligible for grants or contracts funded through state revenue. of course, Section 5, requirements in this order, does not otherwise restrict businesses or instituting COVID-19 screening protocols in accordance with the state and federal law to protect public health, and nothing herein construed to interfere with individuals' right to access their own personal information under federal law. So it has been effective immediately. And there's a declaration of executive order as extended, which is 20-52. So it is actually executive order 21-81. So all you folks out there could really understand that. It may be any possible of any constitutional conflicts. Yeah, it is a big possibility. So can it be challenged? Yeah, it can, but it's a good guideline. It's something that started that it can be if it has to be done in other avenues on the constitutional perspective of Florida. Yes, so I can look at that angle as well. And it's interesting because a lot of folks don't even know that they had a Florida Health Powers Act, which is under Florida Statute 381.00315. And it says here, public health advisories, public health emergencies, isolation, and quarantines. When you look down on this particular statute, and it talks about, possible quarantine and injections when it's necessary. So, like I said, it's here on section, and that should be number 4 of subsection C. All right. In order an individual be examined, tested, vaccinated, treated, isolated, or quarantined for chemical diseases that have significant morbidity or mortality and present severe danger to public health, individuals who are unable or unwilling to be examined, tested, or vaccinated, or treated for reasons of health, religion, or conscience may be subject to isolation or quarantine. So there's always the laws in the books. Actually, it was signed by the globalist Jeb Bush, who was governor at the time, Joseph Ellis Bush, another globalist hack, had it signed into law, and it's very controversial as well when it comes to inoculating at all means necessary. And I read it on here before I did this show, but it is very touchy. Okay, and I know there was one bill supposed to be got been filed to repeal some particular language in there. So which that's good, because it never should be on our at will or anything like that. So, and that's why you always gotta examine these things very thoroughly, But there's some controversies in this one here too. So it's always good. Like I say, I'm definitely gonna leave this under here as well. And it's interesting here with subsection 6, C6, right? Oh no, wait, yeah, subsection C6 here. The rules adopted under this section and actions taken by the department pursuant to a declared public health emergency, isolation, or quarantine shall supersede all rules enacted by other state departments, boards, or commissions, and ordinances and regulations enacted by political subdivisions of the state. Any person who violates any rule adopted under this section, any isolation or quarantine, or any requirement adopted by the department pursuant to declare a public health emergency commits a misdemeanor of the second degree, punishable as provided in State Statute 775.082 and or 083. Yeah, you hear a cart going by here. So yes, let you folks know, I am at Downtown Saloon, located at 10 New River Drive, east in the heart of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, right along the New River, historical landmark. We're right behind the county court and the jail, and southeast section off of the Andrews Avenue Bridge. So yeah, we're technically near downtown. So I always like to make a shout out to them for they put up with me for all these years. So I'm doing something right. But one thing you got to look at too is that these are very dangerous. These are very dangerous with the Health Powers Act. One thing I got to appreciate too with the vaccine passport, they're going to try to shove it down our throats. Even the people themselves can say no. All right, because if you look at Section 1, Article 1, Section 1, political power is inherited in the people. The enunciation herein of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or part others retained by the people. And of course, Section 2 about basic rights. All persons, female and male alike, are equal before the law and have inalienable rights, among which are to enjoy and defend life and liberty, to pursue happiness, to be rewarded for industry, and to acquire, possess, and protect property. So I'll leave it at that. And of course, with this whole, even another thing too, we can use is, if the state of Florida is trying to use this as a law, it's considered an impairing contract under Section 10 of the same article, prohibited laws. All right, and that even with this prohibited law, it does contradict. Like what happens is the Florida Health Powers Act contradicts Article 1, Section 10 as well. So, and we can hit the right of privacy too, Section 23. One moment. Sorry about that. And it says here, every person has a right to be left alone and free from governmental intrusion into a person's life except as otherwise provided herein. So, they do have a right of privacy. So the whole thing is, it contradicts those 4 sections of the Florida Health Powers Act. So the Florida Health Powers Act, when you look at it, it is can be considered illegal. Okay? It can be considered illegal. So that's one area you have to start looking at. And I have to agree. So, like I said, I like the move that's going on with them, where Ron Sands is done. And sometimes some of it may be controversial or possibly unconstitutional to some people. But it's a guideline we can start and utilize in other avenues. So always have that mindset, folks, okay? There's multiple ways of getting the job done. All right. So now here's a good article here that came out yesterday, but got updated today by the Epoch Times. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene introduced proposal to bar vaccine passports. It was what Jack Phillips wrote, and it got updated today. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican from Georgia, introduced a proposal on April 1st that would ban COVID-19 vaccination mandates as well as the so-called vaccine passports. The We Will Not Comply Act would ban documents that show who has been vaccinated or recently tested negative for the CCP virus. The concept of requiring certification has been rejected by privacy groups such as the American Civil Liberties Union. Greene's measure likely won't be taken up by the Democratic-controlled House of Representatives, and if it is, it will likely to pass. We'll just wait and see. It would prevent any business engaging in interstate commerce from discriminating against a person based on their COVID-19 vaccine status, cut off federal funding for a vaccine mandate on employees, a vaccine mandate for students attending schools, and mandates on organizations of sport for any person who expressed religious objection, according to the statement of her office. So she's using the power on freezing funds under Article 1, Section 7 of the U.S. Constitution, because the House is the originator of revenue. That's good to know. So definitely, I will add the U.S. Constitution here on my footnotes as well, because that is essential. So I hope I won't forget. But look it up, Article 1, Section 7, just in case if I screw up. Okay. So I will continue on here. It would also prohibit the government from requiring a CCP virus vaccine to get a U.S. passport and prevent airline companies from denying someone flying based on their COVID-19 vaccination status, as well as create the ability to sue if a person has been discriminated against on the basis of their vaccination status or mask compliance, her office wrote. The idea of such a passport had been publicly floated by large corporations, while anonymous reports this week suggested that the Biden administration was working on such a proposal. White House Press Secretary John Psaki, in responding to those reports, said the administration will instead provide guidance on the effort to develop vaccine passports or similar systems. This is currently an interagency process that is looking at many other questions around vaccine verification. That issue will touch many agencies, as verification is an issue that will potentially touch in many areas of society, she said. You know, it's like, this woman is such a clown. She can't even qualify to be in that position, for goodness sakes. Good grief, at least clowns have talent. This one's like, totally somebody. And it's totally unacceptable. So it just really turns me off here. That one of the people I knew, she's working in another place now. That guidance will provide a determination or develop a vaccine passport, or whether you want to call it, will be well driven by a sector. Ours will be more focused on guidelines that can be used as a basis. There are a couple of key principles that we are working from. Meanwhile, New York State has proposed its own Excelsior Pass, which would be large-scale venues such as Madison Square Garden. The plan has all been criticized by civil liberties groups. Israel set up one in February, grant people to gym hotels. So it's almost the same thing I said before. He wrote, it's just a little repeat. In Iceland, of course, a passport will allow foreign travel. In Saudi Arabia, I said it in the article from the Florida Governor's Report. We're going to also introduce legislation that would eliminate the salary of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Chief Dr. Anthony Fauci, who her office is being paid more than $430,000 a year. Think about that, folks. The J. Edgar Hoover of health. Think about that. Or NIAID. All right? The measure also has virtually no chance of advancing, but it seeks to conduct a study about the correspondence, financial, and policy memos. Instead, NIAID before COVID through the end of this year. This will allow us to see what Fauci and the NIAID knew, and when they knew it, what they spent money on, and how the agency responded to the virus. You know what? I like this. It doesn't matter what your political position is, you should support this as well. Hopefully that bill comes out. I encourage everyone out there to start contacting the House of Representatives and say, no way, and say support this bill or else. One great thing about it, because she's fighting for that right of privacy, okay, which is like the 9th and 14th Amendments of the U.S. Constitution. And I encourage this. If you got some of those people in Congress believe in the woman's right to choose, and they say they're pro Roe versus Wade, if they vote against this, you're saying, why are you contradicting the U.S. Supreme Court decision on Roe v. Wade? Because remember, if there's one small paragraph there states I'm just paraphrasing, the person has the right of privacy, including a woman's right to choose on having an abortion. I'm just paraphrasing. But Roe v. Wade talked about that. And I'm not keen on abortion. I say that in good faith. However, when it comes to the right of privacy, you can give those individuals a taste of their own medicine. Think about that. So definitely you can look that up, man. It's like, I'm not going to post it on those footnotes, but look up Roe v. Wade, and you'll find it. It's a very interesting decision on that one sentence made the game breaker on the whole right of privacy battle. So in the ACLU says, you could they'll support that too. I have to think about that, all right? And like I said, I'm not having my disagreements with some of their actions, but it doesn't mean they're always wrong. So and I'm very pleased about them saying no to the vaccine passport. And we're going to read that right now. And it came out yesterday on the ACLU.org. And it says there's a lot that can go wrong with vaccine passports. That's what Jay Stanley has to say, who's a senior political analysis. Where COVID-19 vaccine rates accelerating governments around the world have begun to consider implementing a standardized credential or vaccine passport that will let people prove that they've been vaccinated. The idea become more real when the Washington Post reported on Sunday that that they've been vaccinated. The idea became more real when the Washington Post reported on Sunday that the Biden administration was working with companies to develop such a structure. Our nation's primary push right now should be equitable vaccine distribution that get as many people as possible vaccinated and reaching herd immunity. If we can do so, epidemiologists say we will reach a point where COVID no longer has enough vulnerable hosts to circulate within our communities. This means that most people, most of the time, even those who can get vaccinated, won't have to worry about the disease. What that happens and COVID becomes resemble other dangerous diseases where there are occasional flare-ups or little spreads, such as measles. The need for a COVID passport will seem much less urgent. Nobody is demanding we provide proof of measles vaccination everywhere we go. And in the limited circumstances where such proof is required, school enrollment, some medical jobs, and some overseas travel, it's far from clear that the existing system of paper documents is somehow deeply broken and in need of fixing. That's especially true given that creating a passport system would be a Herculean task. As privacy advocates and civil libertarians, there are several factors to consider on vaccine passports. There's a difference between a standardized system for presenting proof of vaccination and a digital system for doing so. With more and more credentials being displayed through apps on our phones, from online boarding passes to concert tickets to gym memberships, it strikes many people as an obvious and overdue step to create a similar digital credential for those occasions when a person has to prove that they've been vaccinated. But digital credentials present a number of new potential problems, and we would oppose a vaccination credential system that does not meet three crucial criteria. Number one, it's not exclusively digital. A system that is exclusively digital, whether by design or as a practical matter, would be a non-starter because it would increase inequality. Many people don't have smartphones, including disproportionate numbers from some of most vulnerable communities, such as people who are low income, have disabilities, or a homeless, as well as more than 40% of the people over the age of 65. As a result, any vaccine credential system would need to include a paper-based version of those who don't have a smartphone or simply not use one. The paper option should not be difficult for disadvantages. Afterthought, a standardized credential should be primarily a paper-based system with an optional digital component. No, not the other way around. Our healthcare system is already ridden in inequities from top to bottom. We don't want to worsen that situation by closing off even more societal benefits from those who can at least afford it, or have reason to fear such a system, including immigrant communities and communities of color who are already subject to over-policing and surveillance. 2. It is decentralized and open source. The quest for digital identity and credentializing system has become an entire field unto itself. Numerous companies, technologists, and academics have already generated a variety of concepts, standards, and products that would let us use cryptographic files or tokens on our phones to prove things about ourselves across our lives. The best of these schemes, and the only ones that should be considered for any digital elements of a vaccine credential system, take a decentralized and open source approach that puts individuals and controls of their credentials and identity data, which they would hold in a digital wallet. But given the difficulty of creating a digital vaccine passport, we can see a rush to impose a COVID credential system built on an architecture that is not good for transparency, privacy, or user control. That can lock us into a bad standard as other parties that need to issue credentials piggyback upon it to offer everything from age verification to health records or hunting licenses to shopping accounts memberships and website logins. 3. It does not allow tracking or the creation of a new database unless vaccine credential system is completely decentralized and user-centric. It creates the potential for amassing new personal data. If some big company is being not notified anytime someone reads one of your credentials, that will let them track your movements and interests, the stores, concerts, transportation, venues you visit, okay, and much, much more. In the absence of the airtight legal protections for privacy, any such information, okay, sorry about that, any such information, where I got lost here, could be sold for commercial purposes or shared with law enforcement that would affect all of our freedoms, but will have a particular chilling effect on communities of color, including immigrants and immigrant communities that are already over-policed. Always question these things, my friends. Right? Absolutely. Worse, without privacy protection strong enough to create public confidence, it could even deter from getting vaccinated in the first place. Although there are the 3 most significant issues we see now. The devil is often in the details, and any proposed system will have to be examined closely. Another issue is handling of people who can't get vaccines because, for example, they have a medical condition or simply don't have the access to the vaccine. Will a system distinguish between such people and those who simply decide that they will get vaccinated? If so, how will the people obtain a certification that they are medically contradicted? Excuse me. That's the question. Contradicted. One of the reasons it's important to reach to herd immunity is precisely because there are some people who can't get vaccines that protect them personally. Those people should get shut out of full participation in our society. We also worry that a vaccine passport will encourage overuse. The issues around passport design are separate from the question of where and when people can be required to furnish proof of vaccination, but if a passport system makes it very easy to ask to provide proof of vaccination, it's likely that such requests will become overused as people gets asked for credentials at every turn. While there are legitimate circumstances in which people can be asked for proof of vaccination, we don't want to turn into a checkpoint society that outlasts the danger of COVID and that casually excludes people without credentials from facilities where vaccine mandates are not highly justified. We were heartened to see that the Biden administration appears to be aware of many of these concerns. The White House coronavirus coordinator, Jeff Zients, declared earlier this month any solutions in this area should be simple, free, open source, accessible to the people both digitally and on paper, designed from the start to protect people's privacy. The administration also repeatedly stated that vaccines must be accessible to people regardless of immigration status, and therefore any unintended deterrents must also be concerned. Such statements show thoughtful awareness of the landscape here. We don't oppose in the principle of requiring proof of vaccination in certain contexts, but given enormous difficulty of creating a digital passport system and compromising affairs that are likely to happen along the way, we are wary about the side effects and long-term consequences it could have. We will be closely watching developments in this area. So, you can say whatever you want. There's some of these opinions, you don't have to agree. But the main topic, they do have a lot of great pointers in this statement. So I do have to give him props on that. What can go wrong? So that's a good thing. Okay, that's a good thing. Remember, every high-tech gadget has a flaw. I oppose these passports. I do find it very controversial, very disturbing. Papers, please. That's the road. If you give the state an inch, they'll take a mile. Okay? It always happens that way. It always happens like that way. If you study history, you understand, especially in politics. Doesn't matter what country. It happens everywhere. When it comes to tyranny, you gotta condemn it. So, Mr. Stanley gave those good pointers out there. So so I always have to say nice. Remember, we always have disagreements, but we have something in common. We always get to look at all angles the best we can, folks. That's how I'll try to always utilize information and share with others, and even going after opposition. It's been done multiple times. So that's why I say no to vaccine passports. Period. Don't be like those other nations that are doing it. And you folks that have beautiful people in those other nations, pray for them. Support morality in those areas. Because this is the road to technocracy. And it has to be stopped at all costs. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, and sense interesting, want to check out whatever you do, please send your correspondence to the forum. Furthermore, I'll leave the footnotes of these articles on my speaker page. And if you want to contact me, you can email me at lookyourluck03@protonmail.com. And if you want to donate, you can hit me at PayPal.me or cash.app/lookyourluck3. If you want to give your send your contributions to the Epoch Times and the American Civil Liberties Union, that'll be good. That'll be all right. So definitely do that. Always stick to your principles, folks. Always go by the natural laws. We all have inherited natural rights, regardless where you are inhabited. Once again, thank you for your time. Please always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love. And may your guardian spirits be with you.